Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot, with your host, Josh Anderson.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Marketing Reboot, Making Big Shifts. I'm your host, Josh Anderson, and we talk to real entrepreneurs making really big shifts in the real results that followed. Today, I'm really excited. We have Ravi Bijlani here today. He is the founder of Kickstart.ai, and he's a visionary builder focused on solving one of the world's biggest challenges, which is digital trust. So welcome to the podcast, Ravi.
Thanks for having me here, Josh.
We're excited to have you. I know we were talking about previously, I was looking at some of your background. You have quite an extensive background, founder, advisory, things of that nature. So can you kind of go into that, some of your previous background and why that led to Kickstart.ai?
Would be glad to do that, Josh. I started, my career spans over 2 decades. So I've been in the industry for about 25 years. I've been part of various Fortune 100 to Fortune 10 institutions, performing, leading various departments and then having various executive roles. For last, let's just say, good 15 years has been very, very laser focused on identity. And, one thing that I realized while I was in various different roles and then many things that I was doing, leading payments across the globe and figuring out, what's the next best thing in payments. And you talk about bureaus, talk about, software development. One of the key things that kind of stood out was trust, like you said, is in the middle of everything. And in my humble opinion, trust is kind of broken. And what would get us to that point would be stronger solutions and stronger, identity verification solutions, to be honest with you, and also hit fraud where it meets the systems. And, if you think about it, the way all the fraud solutions and other identity solutions that are out there today, they're all point solutions. And what we have done is brought all of that under single umbrellas, one API or also a single MCP server.
Interesting. So yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, but going back to that trust issue, right? How do you start to build that trust layer for humans to machines and then machine to machine?
Yeah, our current systems have been built for humans to machine, right? We go online, we talk to, XYZ website, and then we say, oh, voila, this is Ravi, give Ravi this access, that access, give him this product, that product. But, up until now, we used to hate bots. We used to say, oh,
Yeah.
everything that is bought is a fraud, right? And we used to treat bots like second class citizens. But with this advent of, so-called agentic AI that everybody's talking about, now I'm gonna say, by the way, Josh, this is Ravi's bot. You will have to allow this bot and make sure that, you give whatever that bot access
Yeah.
to either do research or do transactions. So, in that world, trust really becomes the critical component, right? And then that's what we are really solving for, is that we are now connecting bots to think about calling them as principals, because bots can be Ravi's bot or Kickstart.ai's bot, right? So think about connecting the bots to the real principals, and we are the trust layer or trust framework that's giving bots really enablement to do transactions. And one thing that I say to pretty much a lot of my customers and institutions, bots don't have to be smart. They're already smart because they're built on top of the AI engines or LLMs, right? They have to be trustworthy. That's where rubber will meet the road, right?
Yeah.
If you want to book a flight ticket or you want to buy a refrigerator using an AI agent, there is a very high level of trust that has to be built into that transaction per se.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure. What separates, now this is kind of a marketing question here, of course, but what separates Kickstart from your competitors? What's the differentiator? Why are you guys, what's your secret sauce?
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing question, right, Josh? Is that why build another identity company? There are plenty out there. The biggest thing that we have done is that we have focused on data, right? And then in the world of AI today, one other statement that I want to make here is that today we are only using AI to combat AI. If you think about it, people are talking about deep fakes. Where are the deep fakes coming from? From the AI engines, right? So of
Yeah.
course, as we know, fraudsters, are always the early adopter because they have to innovate, because the prior solutions are kind of stopping them from what they're doing. So going back to why we are different, right? So we have focused a lot about data. So much to the point that now we build a single API that we can verify up to 5 billion identities, more than 350 million businesses. And to connect that, now we can we can also verify payments, which is, either your debit card, credit card verification or your bank account verification. So we've kind of circled all of that into one API. Now, to further add a sliver of differentiation, we are breaking the rule of traditional just in point verification. So, like, if you tell me this is Josh, here is my address, here is my date of birth, here is my in US SSN or any other country, other national ID. Okay, that's just in point verification, right? But what we are doing is we are adding layer of signals, is what we call it. So we're saying this is a world that we live in has to be signal based. What is your phone number? Is your phone number active? Is your phone number prepaid, postpaid? What is your email address? Is your email address active? Is your email address or phone number connected to various your social outlet, which is, you're connected to LinkedIn, you're connected to, Apple, Google, what have you, right? Your WhatsApp account. Is this
Yeah.
on top of all of that? Are those all functioning? Are you doing something with it, or just created and it's lagging? So kind of bringing in all those signals together and giving you, I would say, sound very cliche when I say 360-degree view, but truly giving you signal based approach that at this point of time, not that I can verify Josh, but can I verify Josh's intent to perform that transaction?
Wow, that's interesting. So yeah, so your signal goes into the intent on that specific action then too, right? So it's not just as a
Correct.
whole. Interesting.
Yeah. And we proud ourselves in making our technology also developer friendly. So, for example, if let's just say you talk about marketing, so, let me take a step back and say the whole digital journey, right? Whenever you buy something, you're going to do research, then you're going to go and say, hey, I'm looking for this on your platform. You're going to register, and you're going to, at that point, go and perform the transaction, right? So while you're researching, imagine you could figure out this is Josh, right? Just by, so we have built our technology where we work with telco operators across the globe, so we can passively figure out this phone number. Once we get the phone number, now when it is time for your registration, we can really create a frictionless environment where we can say, hey, is this, Josh, we know this is you, confirm your information. And then you can confirm or deny. But if we know, like, if we have some suspicion, or the signals say this may not be Josh, we can ask you one more question: give me your date of birth, or give me last four of your SSN, depending on what the use case, or send you an OTP, or many other things that we can do to make sure we do proof of possession, right? And once we have figured that this is Josh, now we create a hyper personalized environment, right? Where, hey, by the way, Josh has these 4 or 5 social outlets. Okay, then if you want, you can pull in that data and figure out what. But
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
that would be that'll
Yeah.
be a lot more detailed. But now think about when you type in the debit card or the credit card. Now we know actually this is Josh's debit card or credit card. Or if you're going to use pay by bank, we can figure out this is Josh's payment instrument. You take that to that next level. Now you're really, really, combating fraud where fraud is happening. Fraud, in my opinion, doesn't happen when you can create a fake account on Josh Anderson's name, but it happens when you actually perform, or you move money, or you actually perform a financial transaction pretending to be Josh, right? So that's where we are combating it. We are providing a frictionless way to bring in very good users in, and we are avoiding, or we are giving fraudsters a lot of hard time to perform those financial transactions.
That's really interesting. And to your point too, making it as frictionless as possible for the end user, right? Because everybody knows how cumbersome 2FA and identity verification can be, right? I mean, everybody complains about it, but it's very important, of course. So making that sales process or the end user checkout process as frictionless as possible, that's a huge win for everybody.
100%.
That's very cool. What are you guys doing for marketing in terms of Kickstarter? Or for Kickstart? What are you guys doing right actively now?
Some of the best marketing techniques that we have, Josh, is that our customers are recommending us, which is like
That is by far the best marketing you can possibly do.
exactly right. And like, because you probably, I know many people say that, but Tesla never advertised, right? And I'm not saying that that should be the main case, but what we are doing is that we are we are approaching the world use case by use case, right? So we are kind of really right now focused on reaching out to folks on LinkedIn and making sure, if you don't follow us, whoever is listening, please follow Kickstart. We're kind of presenting the problem, in terms of addressing the current problems that are out there, and then we are posting what kind of solutions do we have. So that way we're getting a lot of inbound traffic. But more important, like I said, Josh, like we are getting calls from the customers who say, hey, somebody from there told us they're using you.
Love it.
We would like to actually have a meeting with you guys.
Yeah, that's great, right? For sure. Hey, sorry to interrupt the podcast really quick. If you're getting value from making big shifts, please subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next conversation. All right, appreciate it. And now back to the podcast. By far the highest converting type of leads you can get to.
100%, man. Yeah.
So from a founder perspective and kind of going back in your history, maybe for Kickstart as an example, what is the biggest lesson you've learned since starting this specific company?
Yeah, and this is we are three co-founders. The gentleman's name is Jatin Manyar, Hitesh Kalra, and myself. And this is our second company together. We had formed a company called Singular Key, which got sold to Ping. And so we learned a lot of lessons from there. I was at a startup before that, which we took to unicorn status. So a lot of learnings. Most important lessons that we learned was that product is very important, right? If you're solving the right problem you know with the right set of product sets and features, it's very important. But even better than that, because earlier in your days, right, you don't know if you're solving the right problem, right? You don't really know if if customers even want that, right? How do you bridge that gap, right? I think what we set out to, our vision was good, because based on our industry knowledge and what we needed, we knew the vision was there. We knew the problem was there, because we
Yep.
know everybody's talking about it. Now,
Yep.
how do you find that product market fit, right? So we were we were fortunate enough, based on how we have built our product. Like, we've built our product in very close conversations with the early customers that we have. So we know that these are the customers that will utilize it, and the problems that we are solving for. And the best, like you said, what is the best advice, right? I think the best advice is that we got, or the learning that we got, was really have an iterative approach, right? Don't say that this is all I'm going to do and that's it. But your ability to pivot is going to be very important in the early days. And I think that any founder that's out there, they actually know that. And people that don't know, they face the whatever, the dark side, if you want to call it. Yeah, so ability to pivot is very important, and staying very close with your early customers. I think those were the two main things that
I
I
love
would say.
that. I love that. How did you go out and find those early customers? You just kind of could have been in your network, or did you just kind of look at like, this is our I see ideal customer profile, right? And then found a few customers in there. What was your approach for that?
Yeah, so the first few are absolutely gonna come from your network, right, Josh? Without saying, right? It comes from your network. But more importantly, I think as you identify what the vision for the company is, right? As the founders come together and you're like, hey, that's the problem I want to solve. You have to initially figure out who that problem is for, right? So we set out to solve for global identity verification initially. And then, as we realized, we pivot, we said, no, we also need to verify the payment. So we added that feature as well. But if you think about it, from our side, what is our ICP is anybody and anybody that moves money. So, Josh, if you think about a fintech that says, I'm only US based, right? I only do, but that's not true, right? You actually send money overseas, or your businesses do business globally, right? And then the second one would be, your e-commerce giant. You'll be like, no, we only have US customers. But that's not also true, right? Any website can get traffic from anywhere around the world. So, what we did was, we have been laser focused on what industry that we are solving for, which is, of course, where the most money is and where the pain point is very hard, which is financial industry. But even below financial industry, figuring out those fintechs like money remitters and crypto payment guys, and also going to one level further down and saying, neobanks, and then think about peer-to-peer money movers. So we've kind of casted a broad net, but then we are focused like, no, this is what we are looking for because the pain point is very high over there.
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that makes complete sense. What now, as you were found, your co-founders were kind of formalizing this idea. How do you feel? I realize a lot of product and launches are about timing, right? I feel like you guys nailed the timing on this, though. Honestly, with everything coming to a head.
Yeah. And you said the right thing, Josh. If you think about it, fraud was a specialty, right? You had like 10 people in the background working on stopping fraud. Now it's front page news, right? If you think about it, any product that any institution is launching, that's the first thing they answer is like, oh, how are we going to stop this? Are we opening up our pipes that can really hurt us? And more importantly, patient is on the line, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I was frauded by another large retailer where they created a fraudulent account of mine. I was like, and I reached out there like, we don't know who did it. Like, can you guys not stop this? They're like, well, you reported us, we're gonna check on that. But of course, being in the industry, I knew certain things, so I went ahead and deleted my information, blah blah blah, right? But am I gonna do business with them again? Probably not, right? And this is a household name. I'm not talking about like some mom and pop store, right? So having said that, like, trust equals to reputation, I would say. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that can be ruined very quickly, like you just said, right? They could have had decades of trust with you in one single moment that was completely gone.
yeah, yep, 100%.
Now, from I guess from the flip side of you just kind of hit on it. What are from a fraud specialist or expert like you in terms of what you guys are doing and building trust? What are some tips that just the average person can take to make sure that they're not they don't end on the bad side of this?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, man. That's uh the all I would say is that make sure that whenever you're creating an account, right, don't fall for the free shipping thing. Give me your name and address and I'll give you free shipping. Of course, when you're buying a product, you have to give them your name and address, right? But go to the reputed site, make sure you do the back, like, does it have a digital certificate, right? And when you see the address, I usually, whenever I try to buy things from a e-commerce place, they have the about us screen and then they have the corporate address. Almost 100% make sure you check the corporate address. If that doesn't show up on your Google Maps, that's your first clue, right?
Good
that
call.
that doesn't exist. But those are like, those are some of the things that are very personal to you. But at a high level, I like to say this, that we live in a paradoxical world, right? Like, where if I were to ask you right now, Josh, can you give me your address? I'd be like, oh, why are you asking me? I'm not going to give you that, right? But all of a sudden, you go on some random website that says, oh, we'll give you 20% discount. You will give your address, you'll give your email, you'll give your phone number, right? And
Take it all. Take it all.
right. It's like, you think about that, how upside down we are, right? In terms of thinking privacy is very important, but at the same time, it's not really important. And then people comment that, oh, why am I seeing this ad? Well, there are certain things you're not supposed to do, right? And then the other thing I personally like to do is, every now and then, there are many platforms that will give you some kind of basic identity theft features, right, to tell you if this is done or not. Other than that, there is not much left out there for an individual to go and do, go like, there is no like secret trick where you're like, "Ah, if only you do this." No.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Just be vigilant, right? And it's such an interesting world we live in too, because like when AOL was around and like 20 years ago, right? Nobody would give any information about anything away, like even my last name. Like you didn't give it away, but now you're exactly right. Want a free T-shirt? Okay, here's my social security number. I feel like that's how it is nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and just honestly, Josh, like that particular part, I think onus is all on the financial institutions or the e-commerce giants, people that you do business with. I think the onus is on them to do the right thing, to put the right prevention tools so that they can build trust with the consumer. As a consumer, if I wear the consumer's hat, I am the spender. I just expect you to do all the right things to protect
Exactly.
my identity, right? And protect my information. Of course, there will be times we do know that their breaches do happen, all that good stuff does that happen, but that doesn't mean that anybody and everybody should come and be able to do a transaction on my behalf. So I put the onus on the institutions.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
So what I know Kickstart's exciting to begin with. What are you guys working on right now that you're really excited about?
Well, what one of the very, very critical things that's going to be very important for trust, think about like a trust layer, or the trust infrastructure for the future economy, right? Which, as of now, it looks like it's going to be an agentic economy, right, Josh? So we are very excited, and we are actually we released our MCP server so that all the LLMs and then some of the AI engines can start consuming the identity verification and and payment verification APIs directly through our platform. That's what I'm really, really excited about we're working on, right? And as you think about it, it's going to be so amazing if we do this right, if we don't repeat the same things. Because when we built internet, we never thought that internet was just supposed to be data passing and something related to web page, and you just click around, right? Then it became highly personal. But right now, and we did the similar things when we were building social media, right? When we built, like, you have a Google email address or you have a XYZ email address, welcome. You can be Josh Anderson. Nobody's gonna question that. So but in a agentic world where trust is gonna be important, and at that point, I believe what we are working on is gonna be very mission critical for the entire economy. And that's what I'm really, really excited about.
No, that is exciting, and I can see that vision as well. So that's all. That's amazing. Where can people get in touch with you, Ravi, or the company, or anything like that?
Yeah, they can reach out to us via Kickstart.com. We have our own bot. They can talk to the bot if they want to learn bot, but they can reach out to me directly, Ravi@KYXStart.com. If you want to hear something about our, connect our sales team, it's sales@kickstart.com. Also, you can follow us on LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn and search Kickstart, KYXStart, you should be able to find us there as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah. It's Kickstart, KYXStart.com, like you mentioned
Yep.
too. So, Ravi, any last parting advice for future founders out there or anybody looking to get the right go to market fit for a product?
Absolutely. I definitely like to say that when I first started on my entrepreneurial journey, this was a long time back, like for my first company, I started thinking that I should have all the answers. But one of the main advices, or one of the main learnings that I got, was that as a founder, you're not going to have all the answers, and you should not expect to have all the answers. Answers are going to come in, and they're going to come in via your customers, more importantly through your early hires, or as the time passes by, you will find those answers. But in many cases, folks just like, oh, I really don't understand this. No, you got to still keep going and answers will come. Just have faith and make sure you do all the other right things, right? Of course, you have to do 10,000 other right things. But one important thing is that don't expect to have all the answers. As a founder, I think you may find your support system that will get you to those answers.
Love it. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, Ravi. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Josh. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
All right, guys. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. A marketing reboot, making big shifts this week. I'll talk to you next time. Awesome. Thanks. Hey, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Making Big Shifts by Marketing Reboot. It would be a huge help to us if you subscribe to the channel and share this with somebody that you think needs it. Your support helps us continue to bring great guests on board and keep the conversation going. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Making Big Shifts. Like, share, and follow for more. Join us next time on Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot,